by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Gold Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Gold Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience that is less vibrations. Fill up with Gold Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Gold that's sorted. Gold. Good energy.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. My money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo is put together to give your community
You're welcome.
It's always with innovative products and making sure that our customers get value for money. When you look at the terrain and you look at offering you all
and the third chamber.
East and west, we always stand for the best.
So as you can see, the first chamber is XP3 fuel additive. The second chamber is the other two additives. The other ones on the market. As you can see clearly, that this one burns clean. And you see, one important thing is, for instance, if you use another additive or you buy another fuel and you have a change of mind and you start buying from Goyle, because there's a presence of the XP3 additive, it's able to correct that problem. So we are going to create a situation whereby we are correcting it. So as you can see, when we added the XP3 additive, it is now burning cleaner. Now you don't see the smoke again. So if, for instance, you buy fuel from some other OMC and you change and you start buying from Goyle, because there's a presence of the XP3 fuel additive, you realize that your car, the smoking comes down.
Some of us, this is where we buy our fuel. Since Goyle brought the RON 95, my car has been performing and I drive more miles with a little fuel. So I don't think I'm switching anytime soon.
It is very good for my engine. It doesn't burn fast. It makes the engine last long. And then the most interesting part about it is that it makes me save money and I make good sales because it doesn't burn fast.
Go for a normal consumption is okay. Now other ones are used to
distance they go in each channel. Longer than other ones now. You go ahead and
best fuel in Ghana.
If you want quality fuel, it's Go. When you come to Go, you get our upgraded fuel. That is the Super Ron 95. Then the diesel SP. We have 13 trade areas, comprises of 95 stations. We have 10 stations in trade area 2. We have station down there, Printers Road stretch. We have our Batona station. We have Chardo station. We have our Cantonment station. And we have Bremer Camp. We have Liberation. And we have our Coca-Cola runabout.
Here at Goyle, especially at the South La filling station or any filling station in Goyle, you can get various grades of lubricants for your car needs. We have lubricants for all types of vehicles, be it a truck, be it a saloon car, be it trotro, be it a taxi, be it any kind of vehicle we have. We have an oil to meet your needs.
I have traveled a bit, and the standards that Goyle uphold could meet any standard anywhere in the world, and that makes us confident that we should keep buying from them.
Me should carry me to Goyle 2-3 years. I'm answering engine.
I will urge all my college drivers, especially the taxi drivers, if they want to make good sales like I do, they should patronize the Super XP 95. It's good for the engine as well.
We are selling this Ron 95, which is a bit expensive at the market. We are selling to you at the same price. Others are selling it higher.
Goyle is here to stay. Goyle is here for the best interest of all motor riders and all commercial vehicles, all private vehicles. I know that you cherish your vehicles. We are giving you the best quality fuel.
Goyle, you are the pa. Goyle, you are the Goyle, if you feel, you can say, Adipa, it will feel as well.
All right, so that was the Goyle TV Market, which came to you live from the South La service station. Indeed, the Goyle TV Market is about showcasing the services and products of one of our lead sponsors, Goyle Company Limited, and like I always say, premium is always placed on the Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now we're zooming today into our discussion proper. Today we are talking about the adoption of international standards for efficient and sustainable port services. What does it mean if a company says it is ISO certified? Now the ISO certification has become a trump card on whose back many companies market themselves. What is it? Why is everybody trying to get ISO certification? Why are people trying to migrate and do things to align with international standards? That's the story of GPHA so far. And so tonight we have assembled a team from the ISO unit of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and we're going to be doing justice to the topic. And so whatever questions there are that bothers your mind, remember you can send the questions ahead via our WhatsApp line, which is 0559-019-177, 0559-019-177, and then we'll be glad to share it with the rest of the Lord. Let me introduce to you Mr. Gavin Amavi. Mr. Gavin Amavi is the General Manager in charge of operations at the Port of Tema. He's also the ISO coordinator for the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. And we also have Madame Frances Jemima Anabiatia, who is a Principal Corporate Planning Officer at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. And of course, she's also with the ISO team at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Ion Port.
Good evening.
Good evening. So let me begin with you, Mr. Amavi, and find out why, what is ISO, first of all, and why did GPHA decide to, pursue such high standards?
Yeah, when we talk about ISO, the abbreviation ISO means International Standards for International Organization Standing for Certification, which deals with standards. Now, we look at international standards, and then you would see that these standards are measures that people try to ascribe to. Why? Because it leads us to become more perfect, more proficient, and we also look at our performances in the system. So we have various standards that we ascribe to or certify to under this body. This body comprises about 165 organizations in various countries, and this has a number of standards, like quality standards. We talk about occupational health and safety. We're talking about environmental standards. There are other standards like information security, and there are other standards which also deals with security operations as well. We have diverse of them, and then
what is called the integrated management system, and that's what we're currently operating. Can you enlighten us about it?
Yes. Good evening to your lovely listeners, and then thank you for hosting us here. As Mr. Marvin indicated, ISO has various standards in place, but GPHA went in for quality management system, which focuses on customer satisfaction. That is ISO 9000. And then we also added the 14,000, which talks about environmental management system, and then its sustainability. We also went in for the 45,000, which is about occupational health and safety of our staff and then our clients as well. Now, initially we didn't start with all this. We started with the 2008 version of ISO 9001.
Right.
And I think GPHA decided to go in for this because about 90% of our clients are based out there. When I say out there, I mean in the developed world, and they've tested what the benefits of these standards come with. They intend to have that same feel when they come to deal with Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. You know, we also realized that we needed to be compliant to both local and international standards or regulations and laws, especially when it comes to occupational health and safety and the environmental sustainability. We also needed to operate efficiently, especially when it comes to cost saving. We realized that what the Japanese term as muda, when you have a value chain and then you streamline your operation, you realize there were so many waste of waiting, waste of repetition. So we needed to also align ourselves to something that would do away with all these waste and therefore reduce our cost of production, and then ultimately for us to become efficient. And then we thought that we needed to also remain competitive, especially looking at the fact that most of the ports within the West African sub-region were also pursuing same. If I think some had already gotten to the point of even being certified, so we needed to also wake up and then also be active in the market when it comes to subjecting our system to such scrutiny. Yes.
All right, so let me still stay with you and
right.
find out what processes went into GPHA being certified by the ISO.
All right, so I would like to say good evening to Mr. Richard Anamu. That's his brainchild.
Okay.
In 2010.
The former Director General.
Yes, the
of
former
GPHA.
Director General.
Okay.
Actually, when he was the Director of Port, that he brought up this concept. So he initially set up a committee, a team, and christened it Strategic Support Unit. Now, this team had to familiarize themselves with the standards. Then later documented the existing procedures of the authority. We further on had a gap audit. SGS supported us with that activity. A consultant was purchased to help us with the entire process. Now, the gaps that were identified in the gap audit were given responsibilities, timelines, resources were allocated, and then we're able to close all those gaps We had trainings, series of trainings, sensitization within the organization and then amongst our interested parties. And then through to the process, we had internal audits. After implementing our procedures, we needed to test to see whether the system was working. Variances were identified. We needed to work to close all these variances, which we did. And then we subjected ourselves to our certification by the SGS. We had our first stage audit, our second stage audit. And then the good news was that on the 31st December 2013, GPHA was certified to ISO 9001-2008. But then GPHA had to test the system. So it only took 8 departments in Tema for the implementation.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so let me come to you. Having ascribed to or subscribed to ISO certification, it means that port operations would have to be done in such a way that it's aligned to meet the requirements. How are you able to do this?
Yeah, with the ISO, which deals more with standardization, it means we will now have to be working with certified equipment that are actually inspected. We also have to deal with skilled and certified operators. Now, this also means that we will have to start looking at our processes, the processes that we'll go through, and then develop work instructions to guide operatives, which to say SOPs, where our interested parties would also be looking at.
What's the SOPs? What does that mean?
Standard operating procedures.
Okay.
Now, with these things, it means that it makes it easier. An introduction of any new person into the system knows that we deal with standards, he knows what processes that we would have to go to. The other aspect is that we need to look at the way we pre-plan our operations, systematic pre-planning, and then effective and efficient allocation of resources. Now, when you allocate resources efficiently, it makes you bring down cost, and then when you have these certified operators, you see that accidents and downtime of the equipment are minimized. We also have to deal with the issue of well-efficient plant maintenance system. Now, even with our customers, we will have to look at them in pre-planning, and then we do appraisal of operations that have been carried out with our customers as well. Whilst we're carrying out our operations, in order to look at performance, to see that we are not going off target, we try to set targets and make sure we monitor hourly, we look at daily, and look at weekly, monthly, and yearly. That is to say that we want to still be on track. Our customers are served with smiles. Our customers are served with exactly what they require. Now, at this moment, we need to let them know that we are always there for them and the targets are being met. This makes the port becomes less expensive. The authority operates such a way that outsiders, customers will be invited based on our performance.
All right. So let me still stay with you, Mr. Amavi, and find out how this one is helping in corporate reputation. I mean, we are implementing ISO standards at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Does it help in any way in terms of our reputation as a corporate institution?
Yes, it does. And so many organizations can attest to that, because most of them have started coming to us to try and replicate what we are doing. They also try and look at situations where they could sustain whatever they have started. Now, with this situation, you realize that corporate Ghana gains a lot, because the way we do standard items follow procedures, follow standards, it will attract investors into the system. And attracting investors means that you are opening up the economy. When the economy is opening up, there's much more growth in the economy. Now, people become very fussy. They become more confident that they would have to use our services because they know we do things based on international standards.
Okay. So I'll come to you, Madam Frances, and find out whether GPHA has conducted an impact analysis on our ISO compliance.
Right. Thank you for the question. Yes, we have. It's about 60% completed. We want to provide an in-depth impact analysis of the ISO system from the time of its inception till date. However, in the meantime, we have other systems we use in testing the impact of ISO to GPHA.
Right.
One of such is our internal audit, which is performed once every year.
Right.
We have our external
Indeed, you just
audit.
finished this
we
year.
just finished, yes. You were there at the closing and opening meeting, yes.
That was Friday.
Okay, one of such, another is also the external audit, which is mostly slated for November every year, and is conducted by our certification body, SGS Ghana. And then we also have our monthly walkthroughs. This is conducted by the various FQMs, the functional quality managers. These are representatives of the ISO system at the departmental level. Okay. And then they do it with the heads of department. We also have focal teams in both ports. And so the quarterly walkthroughs are performed by the focal teams, and then the main coordination team at headquarters join them when the need arises. And then we have other monitoring activities we do randomly. We call it the door-to-door visit, where we come to visit you in the department, the HODs, we discuss with them, we ask them of challenges, we try to test how the system is working in the department. So, and then findings of all these forms of inspection is documented in an in-house document called the Master Corrective Action Request. Now, it's like a dashboard where we have all the findings and then projects that come along with the findings. We have a responsibility, a responsible person or a department. We have the beginning, the ending of that, and then resources, remarks, and then that will take into consideration the challenges that would come up during the implementation or resolution of such gaps. Now, by the look at this dashboard, you're able to quickly identify all the changes ISO has brought to the authority.
Right.
By the look at it. And it's motivating. It's motivating. Issues that are overdue or outstanding, we still track them till date. And I'm so happy to say that there was an issue that was identified way back in 2014 in GJT. That's
Golden Jubilee Terminal.
Yes, Golden Jubilee Terminal. Just last month, last month, the GM operation, Mr. Garvin indicated to me that it has been resolved. And then there were other adjoining findings. And that shows how robust the system is.
So something happened in 2014, you mentioned.
Yes.
And it was resolved when?
We track date up to date. And this year, just last month, as she indicated, a contract has been awarded. It's all about lockers for our operatives, our dockers working at Golden Jubilee. And then we looked at the situation where the doors of Golden Jubilee were also not working effectively. The ventilation in the shed was not appreciable. So we tracked all these things last 2 years, and last year, these two things were cleared out of the system. And the lockers, fortunately, the contractor will be delivering very soon.
Right.
But prior to that, we have conscientized the dockers using those areas to keep up cleaning. And they tidy up the place to the appreciable state that they can do now. But when the lockers come in, that is going to make it much more appreciable.
Okay.
There was something in place, but we thought, based on the basic, considering the welfare of our staff, we thought something better could have been done. And we really pursued it to the end. And that's how the system works. You might think that I haven't implemented this year and then it will be forgotten. The dashboard is there, and we always have to go back and then trace them, and then you have to close it. Yes.
Right. Let's shed more light on the internal audit that was conducted recently. It's a yearly thing that you do,
yes,
you
it
said.
Is a yearly
and
thing.
I want to find out from you what it is in the life of a typical audit team that is conducting its duty on a particular day. For instance, myself and the team were in the office, and then they knocked, they came in, and then they began their work. Can you walk us through what they look out for when they go for these audits?
All right. You said the life of a typical audit team. It's not easy. You could have your best friend turn his or her back on you during that time.
Absolutely.
Just because it's time for you to come and review the person's system.
Right.
But when the situation demands, you need to wear a different cap. And so we have a criteria. In every auditing, you would have a criteria where you audit against. So in this case, they were looking at what the standards we have implemented, what the requirement says, against what we have. And so when they come, in the audit plan, we state the things they'll be looking at. So there's a first portion that has to do with the documentation.
Right.
So every standard, or each of the standards we have implemented, has certain key requirements you have to look out for. And so they look at those documentations to ensure that you have them. They have been updated if there's any change. And if they have been updated, they have been duly approved, making it usable.
Right.
Now, when they are done with that, they would now go to the field. Maybe they'll have some records in form of receipts or reports generating from you implementing those systems. Now, they use these records and then reports and then other documents that come out of the implementation of these procedures to now test on the field. So they go for walkthroughs, they look at the general housekeeping of your environment, they look at the furniture, they look at how conducive an office is, whether you've provided staff with the basic social amenities. They also try to follow a procedure to see whether whatever you say you are doing, as in you've documented, you are actually doing it and is yielding the results. So sometimes they ask for incidents, whether there have been any incidents when it comes to implementing. So they take it, they track it to see to it that it has been ended appropriately. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me come to you, Mr. Mavi, and find out how the implementation of ISO standards in the ports would benefit the ordinary importer or exporter or port users, so to speak.
Okay. In the first place, it gives the opportunity for the importer or our clients, the exporter, to actually ask for what services he wants. Because we avail ourselves for criticisms as far as our job is concerned. Now, hitherto, GPHA could easily run away from the fact that there's an issue and then they will probably swindle the customer. Now we are bold enough to tell the customer, yes, we are at fault, and then we shoulder it. Now, the customer also has the opportunity to appraise us as and when we work. Now, the customer also makes sure by the fact that we have automated our systems, that customer can even sit in his comfort of his home office and try to transact business with us. You know, initially, everything was done manually. Now, we have made our staff such that they become a bit more friendly because they know they are measured by the customer. Now, even the ISO audit would even look out for the way customers are being handled. So the issue also with the fact that when we are servicing them, they have that reliability that we can give them quality service. They have that reliability that we can always handle their cargo, handle their goods professionally without damaging them anyhow. Because if they know if we damage them, we'll have to pay for certain claims and other things. They have become much more confident now. They are able to tell us and bring in new ideas as to how we will do our work. And we accept that for a fact, so that we can be more innovative in our industry.
Right. All right, so this is Metro Television, and the program is Our Import, and indeed we are discussing the adoption of international standards for efficient and sustainable port operations. And I'm speaking to Mr. Gavin Amavi, who is the General Manager in charge of port operations at the Port of Tema. He's also the ISO coordinator for the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. And Madame Frances Jemima Anabiatia, yes, who is Principal Corporate Planning Officer also at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and also with the ISO team. Like I said, you can send us your messages so that we can read to the rest of the world, and the number is 0559-019-177. We'll be ready to share with the rest of the world. Well, going for a short break. We'll be back shortly.
GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, streetlights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Tell God, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water. Or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
All right, so you're welcome back. This is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and we go straight into the discussion once more. And I'll start with you, Madam Frances. And we mentioned the internal audit thing, and after the process, and I know marks are awarded to the various departments of the various units, you know, and what happens after the audit? Okay, so when a typical audit team finishes with a department, they sit with the management of that department to discuss the findings. Probably there was a misunderstanding in the process, so they will provide evidence to be for some of the audit findings to be taken out. Right. But if there is no such thing, it is concluded that those were the findings. Now these findings will go into a report. Which is corrective action request. Right. It will be sent to these departments, giving them a short time to bring back a corrective action plan. So the auditor will look at the findings against the mitigation. If they don't match, he has the right or she has the right to confront them, to ask them
to bring up a better mitigation to correct the gap that is identified.
Right.
Now, when all these are done, they would both agree, and then it will be implemented. And so the auditor will go back to inspect to ensure that or those findings have been closed, and then he signs off. And then these are reported to the headquarters ISO team as well.
Right.
And so at this time, it's mostly very difficult for the auditors, because then they have to constantly go to the various departments to ensure that they are not taken away by their former job assignment.
Right.
Because sometimes if you don't mind, remind departmental managers or management, they easily forget the tracking of the resolution of these mitigations.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So that's
okay. So yes.
All these things, before the auditors might even start moving to the various departments that they audited, we adopted a system where we have the critical issues that came out of the audit, which are put together. If we say the port of Takoradi, they put all these things together. If we say headquarters, and then Tema port. Now, these things are initially given out to the DPs, the various port levels, and copies to the Director General. Now, this enables the directors, the various directors, to start working at these things before the corrective action request is concluded, and the auditors will have to close them. Then aside that, we have the management review meetings for both ports, and we start to look at the previous and recalcitrant issues. That's why we said we have a documentary of this corrective action request since gap audit, when we started the ISO. Now, when these things are put together, we, at the management review meeting, the coordinator presents these requests. We come up first with issues that have not been resolved, the recalcitrant ones, and then we come up with issues of the recent audit. There are certain times we even raise external audit issues, which we think we need to clear. At this point, I must indicate that last year we had a very difficult task. When the external auditors were around, they detected one or two things that nearly caused us a problem. By the end of the day, this year, by virtue of the fact that we had to push some of the engineers, some of the terminals, they have actually cleared that. We had a situation at the River Terminal where we saw drums of oil leaking, and anytime they dispense fuel to the generator, you could see that there's spillage. And in ISO, it goes against us, because where the dusting ends, it destroys the environment. Because it destroys the environment, we need to keep the place well. That's why we need to have ban walls by some of our equipment, like generators and other things. This year, I must say that before the external auditors will come, we have actually even paved the place. We thought we were going to replace the chippings, and I give commendation to the civil engineer of Tema Port, and then the push that the River Terminal also gave, and that. So these are processes that we go through. So when the external auditors come, they will have to start taking. Did you do your internal audit? Did you look at the corrective actions? And did you also come out with a management review? At the management review, the chairperson or the one who chairs institutes assignment, gives assignment to various sections and departments for which they have to. Now, mind you, it is the CEO who is giving directives. That shows the commitment that management has. And when the external auditors come, they look at some of these things, and they probably even look at some of the things that were unearthed during the internal audit and try to scrutinize the system. That's why we say our appraisal basically is with the internal audit, external audit, and then we availing ourselves to the international world for scrutiny. That helps in our performance improvement.
Right. Yesterday I was at that was on Friday. I was at the closing, and you singled out the Marketing and Corporate Affairs Department for praise. Why was that?
Yeah, we realized that consistently both the internal and external audit, they have been well organized, both at corporate level, at the Tema port level. So what we're going to do this time is for them to let people know what they have been doing good that they can copy.
Right.
I seriously commend them for what they have been doing. And I think that's your department, so you are full.
That's why I'm excited. I intentionally brought it. So kudos to the madam of the department, Madam Esther Jebidonko, who's leading the team and making these wonders happen. We thank you so much for the quality leadership that she's offering to us at the department as Marketing and Corporate Affairs, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. So let me continue with you, Frances. Let me come to you and find out what role clients of the port have to play in terms of helping implement these standards.
Okay. First of all, I would like to indicate that to be a port operator of GPHA, there are some series of inspections that you go through.
Right.
We have inculcated, or we have integrated the requirements of these ISO systems into the agreement we sign with them. And so we inspect their machines, we inspect the work environment, and we even inspect their systems.
Right.
And so they readily avail themselves for annual general inspections as well. And so I would like to say that GPHA cannot do it alone. It's a Herculean task, but we have made it so easy so as to manage it to be effective. We plead with all stakeholders in the port community to collaborate with us, to share ideas. We cannot pretend to know it all. We are open for ideas, to share ideas with us. They should individually also try to streamline their system. We are not saying they should necessarily also go for the certification, but they could try implementing the requirements of the various standards. For instance, in Port of Las Palmas, other port operators within the system are given the opportunity to either implement the requirements or get certified and get some incentive from the Port Authority. And so systems are well into the synergy is well created, and so they know that whatever I bring out as my output fits into my sister company as an input.
Right.
So whatever I'm doing, I have to do it very well. So that I don't indirectly affect another company within the port community. So we are pleading with port operators, port users, all our interested parties to come on board and help us as we strive to provide delightful services to them and also remain competitive and innovative.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I'll come back to the issue of level of compliance, how we ensure that, these people, strictly adhere to these standards.
Right.
But let me come to you. There's a question. We'll go to some messages now. Mr. Mavi, this one says, how much does GPHA's ISO systems take into account environment sustainability?
Yeah. As she has earlier on indicated, we make sure environmental issues are key to us. Licensees and concessionaires are to make sure they use systems, equipment that are environmentally friendly. When we go out for this annual inspection, we try to look at even the way they dispose of waste. We talk about oil spillage. Even when they change oil from their equipment, how do they handle the filters? How do they dispose of them? Do they give them out to professionals who dispose of them? We also look at a situation where the solid waste, how it's handled. And in most cases, the liquid waste that we're talking about, when we talk about the sewer system and other things, that's where we get challenges, and they also meet us squarely and put us on our toes to make sure our estate and environment also keeps to a standard. We even brought out a situation where we do waste segregation.
Right.
We had challenges and we had to review because the central waste collection became a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. We are also contending with a situation where we have oil leakages from our own equipment. And we see most of our terminals are heavily fouled. And up on today, our biggest challenge had been water to be degreasing the place. Actually, we use biodegradable chemicals to do the degreasing. And we try to do some sort of scraping, and then when we are degreasing, we collect the mud that is generated from the grease that we collected, dump them, and appropriately hand them over to the appropriate disposal unit. Now, because of the situation that we have with water almost every weekend, we immediately brought up an innovation that we have drilled boreholes at Jubilee, particularly, and sent to the refi area to drill boreholes. Now we've gotten to the stage where we are mechanizing the boreholes.
Right.
And I believe by next week, we will be depending on water from our own boreholes. The question or the excuse as to our cleaners saying there's no water will gradually be a thing of the past. To meet the situation squarely, management has also decided to look out for parts that will repair our leaking equipment, the sealing kits. Right. Then Pasigo has taken over this challenge, and within this month, this week, and next week going, we will get these kits coming. Already we started repairing some of them, and so by the time we get borehole water, we are degreasing frequently. Our kits are also in that we are repairing equipment for degreasing. We've also been at Gasem and Costco. The other areas are also Dangote, and who emit dust pollution.
Right.
Now, we've tried to make them come up with eco-friendly hoppers.
Right.
Those who do not have the precise eco-friendly hoppers have gotten dust suppression systems with their hoppers, which is reducing the dust coming out of them. Even though we are not perfect yet, we have encouraged, and I can see that even Super Maritime, they started mounting a very good hopper with very good dust suppression system. Right. On the 4th of this month, because the port was very dirty, dusty, with a heap of debris from clinker deposits, cement deposit, we called a meeting earlier, organized all the cement companies who bring in clinker for the cement production, and where they keep their hoppers, we organized a cleanup exercise. And they brought logistics and other things, men and labor. We tried to even look at some of the pipelines within the port where we had plastic rubber materials, which we have cleaned ourselves, and invited some of the people who are using the pipe, latest one, for instance, we called them and asked them to intensify their inspection of their pipes. We're not only looking at the issue of cleaning, we're also looking at the issue of where you have combustible materials around your pipe. The heat alone could be disastrous and would generate something. And they agreed that yes, they've not been coming early, they used to be coming quarterly, now they're going to do it weekly, so that it will help us. These are efforts that we are putting in, and then we keep monitoring our vessels within a water basin for oil spills. And any time it's detected as early as possible, the boom is deployed and the polluter is made to work towards the cleaning of those spills.
Okay. All right, this one says, hello there to Mr. Gavin. Okay. I'm a quality-oriented computer science graduate with knowledge in integrated management systems, ISO 900-2015, ISO 45001, ISO 14001. Aside these, I also have certified knowledge in quality management and supervision skills, looking to help the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority continuously improve to meet customer expectations and reduce costs. This one's from Peter Bote Opintan. Well, I think this is a job seeker that is presenting the CV to you through me.
But before you go, he should know that he doesn't necessarily have to come into the system before he can help. We are always available. He can come to us with ideas. We look at some of the ideas, and that will be another learning process for him, practically, to see what goes on.
Right. This one says, so has the port also certified private stevedoring operators? Because when GPHA is stevedoring a vessel, it is different from private stevedoring. This one is from the Harbour Boy.
The Harbour Boy has come up with something we have already looked at.
Yes.
We are now monitoring the private stevedores. One or two will tell you the last month and this month has not been easy with them. We pick hourly figures from them.
Okay.
We make sure they put on the right PPEs. Now, with some of us, when they see us around the quay, then people start running, going for their helmets and other things. And then any time they falter, performance-wise, we zoom in, give you equipment, and we charge you for it. That is for the image of the port. And any time you do not clean up, those cement companies, we ensure that they clean up to the top of the GASM, where GDL is. You sweep until you finish your discharging of your consignment. And you are supposed to even make sure that your hoppers are also clean, and when you bring them, so we are matching them boot to boot. We've started, and there's room for improvement anyway.
Okay. So this one says, this is from George in Takoradi. It says, are these ISO standards observed and monitored by GPHA at the Takoradi terminal since the divine operation is under private, that's Takotel entity?
Yes. The scope of GPHA ISO system covers Takoradi Port as well. And as I indicated, our port operators, port users, that includes the licensees, the concessionaires, they are part of the group we inspect every year. And we also do intermittent inspection. Now, for the first time this year, we issued them with a corrective action request. We have teams who visited them and ensured that they've closed some. We have noted the outstanding issues, and we intend to zoom in on them till the year ends, so that it makes it easier for us to go in for inspection. Mostly is done first quarter of every year. And so, yes, we still inspect them because we have sublet some of our activities to them, and then the name of GPHA is indirectly tagged to them. And so whatever they do good, it is to project the name of GPHA and corporate Ghana. If they do bad, it's same. So we have to work tirelessly with them to ensure that their clients are happy, our clients are happy, our name is preserved, corporate Ghana's name is projected. Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Okay, so this one says, my name is Skabani Aban. My question is, why are port taxes so expensive, especially on cars? It's sometimes almost the same as the price of the car. Why is it so? I think this one is a customs question.
Exactly, of course.
Mr. Aban, we cannot help you here. When we have a customs man in the studio some other time, please, you can send this question.
I think our clients need to appreciate that there are so many industry players within the value chain of our service delivery. And so most often we have clients putting it squarely at the doorstep of GPHA, issues that do not directly relate to us, especially for this tax, duty, and other stuff. You know, it is for customs, but customs is within our service delivery. from end to end. They are mostly, they say it's a custom sport.
Yeah.
But our charges, when you go deep, are mostly very, very small.
Absolutely.
If you look at the charges out there in the total service delivery, our charges are very, very small.
Minimal.
That is because we need to indirectly impact positively on our importers and exporters. Yes, so we cannot begin to kill them.
Okay. This one says, hello, good evening, and thanks for this wonderful discussion. Please inform the General Manager, GPHA, that I have a very good, powerful, and environmental-friendly degreaser for all his spillages, so he should contact me, please. This one's from Armstrong. He says the chemical is from Canada. So, yes, Armstrong is...
service. Bring it and let's look at it.
Right. Okay, Armstrong. So you had GM Operations, Tema Court. He says you can meet him in his office and you discuss it, and he would examine whatever it is that you have and whether it can really help solve the problem, and then they took it up from there. He says, my name is Kwame. I may like to open a construction company in future. What are the processes I may need to follow to get ISO certification to boost my efficiency and to improve client trust in my services? Can you outline the processes?
Okay. So you need to, first of all, map out your scope of activities in your company.
Yeah.
You need to identify activities that or services you intend to render when your construction company is up and running. Then afterwards, you develop procedures for each of those activities or services. And then after you are done with that, you would either seek for the services of a consultant, or you can go to Ghana Standard Authority and buy any of the standards you seek to implement your system against. Buy the standard document from them, and then follow the procedures, how clause by clause, how to implement the system. Make sure that the required documentations are put in place. You are putting things or streamlining things per the requirements. Then once you are done, you can go for training. Sometimes you can even go for the training before you do all these things. It opens your mind, or it exposes you to how to even implement the system in an easier way.
Right.
And so once you're done, you can have an internal audit, or you can invite any of the certification bodies around, SGS, Bureau Veritas, BSI, let them come in. They would have a gap audit to identify the gaps you need to close before they can start with the certification audits. We have first stage and then second stage, and once you are able to close the gaps that they identify with reasonable mitigations, then I think you are good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me at this juncture announce that the phone lines are activated. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353, and then we'll be glad to pick your calls, and you can ask whatever questions there are that is bothering your mind. So this one says, I'm an importer. I heard this ISO thing is expensive. Is that why fees at the port is high? My name is Kujo.
Not so. This is a cost to the company. It is the cost management has decided to budget for.
Okay.
Because of top management commitment, as the standards always seek for, because if you don't plan for it, you cannot even implement it then to talk of sustain it. And so we are not waiting to take monies from clients in order to implement and sustain the system, but it is mostly budgeted for every year before we even start the year. So they do it for the ensuing year. Yes, so no please.
Okay.
I must say, to make it even easier for us, in view of this, we have a standing committee to complement the work of the ISO. A strong existing committee made up of key experts in with the various sections. And we meet every 2 years. We develop and review policies in our system. So you could see that with every 2 years, we come up with new policies and review the policy that we have. We also pride ourselves with the fact that we have a number of certified NEBOSH ICG 1, 2, and 3 certified staff.
Right.
That shows some sort of seriousness we have in the system.
Absolutely.
And then we have a number of certified internal auditors across Takoradi and Tema.
And headquarters.
Okay. All right, this one says, kudos to GPHA, blazing the trail for our big institutions. Glad to hear all this. My name is Asantua from Takoradi. Thank you very much indeed, Asantua. This one says, how much do your tenants and private operators in the port compel to follow through the standards? How much? I mean, that is compliance. Yeah, I think you spoke there. Yeah, so you can deal with that, Madam Frances.
So, as I earlier on indicated, port operators and then like licensees and concessionaires in the agreement, especially the licensees, has requirements of the ISO system embedded in it. And then we do monitoring and inspection to follow through and ensure that these requirements are met. We also have signages that demonstrate the do's and don'ts of the requirements. They are placed visibly within and outside the harbour area. And then we also have punitive actions coming with these signages, so that in case you violate it, our port security and our port fire safety make sure that they follow through to the end and you pay for it. We also subject ourselves to audits both internally and externally. We also do intermittent monitoring to ensure that we are following through. And in all this, our interested parties, that includes the port operators, are involved. Even with the recent and they just ended internal audit, they were informed that they needed to keep their place well. They need, because during...
All right, let me cut you. Sorry, that's a rude one.
That's okay.
We'll have to go to the phone lines and speak to Adams from Kumasi. When we continue. Hello, good evening, Adams.
That's okay.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, sir. Please, Flo.
Please, I have a question for operational manager, Mr. Gavi. Hello.
Yes, Adam. So please go ahead.
I just want to find out. I have realized that all the vehicles in the port, GPHA vehicles, have been registered. Why is it that their equipments are not registered? And that becomes a problem for me. I want to know why the equipments are not being registered.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at the port, it is an enclave. It is a zone restricted for handling of cargo, and the equipment that we purchase them specifically for handling cargo in the port. So we've been given that right to rather create asset names which identifies them. We have insured them generally, and then we have in bulk also registered them as such. Now, you do not see the number plate, DVLA number plate or whatever it is, but anytime we have to move out of our jurisdiction, we go out with a logbook, and we go out with trial numbers. So at the beginning of every year, we go in to take those numbers and use them in case we want to operate outside, particularly when we are dealing with salvaging issues, and when it becomes critical that somebody will have to come and take the equipment from the port and handle a situation. But all in all, our focus is on our core business. We don't want to have any divergent view so that we will not serve clients appropriately. So you would see that when you come to hire equipment, hiring within the port is lesser and cheaper cheaper than hiring outside. The minimum hiring period from within the port is 2 hours, but outside, whatever time that you use it, the minimum is 4 hours.
Right.
It's just to discourage our staff, our operatives, to be interested in working out of the confined areas where we need to serve and make sure cost of goods are at the barest minimum.
Okay. All right, so let's go on to the phone lines and welcome Paul. Paul is calling us from Accra. Hello, Paul. Good evening, sir. Frank. Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Please go ahead.
I love the program that you are doing.
Thank you,
and
sir.
It's very educative, and I would like to contribute.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. My question is, a lot of people are interested, especially the young guys up and coming. For me, I've had a little experience working with the bauxite company at Takrade for 2 years as a system administrator. But now I'm an IT personnel, but I want to enter into merchandising, that is distributing goods to shipping lines who will be coming to our shores. So I want to know what's the procedure for going through to be able to register a company so that you can also do merchandising, and what are the processes that I have to go through. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Frank, for calling us from Accra. You want to attempt that?
Yeah, it depends on which discipline you want to venture. Your IT background could also give you work within our industry. You could look at softwares that you have, especially when we are going more of automation. If we want to do import and export, you could also venture that exercise. If you want to be an agent for a vessel, an agent for clearing of goods, being a consolidator or whatever it is, we have all those disciplines that you have to go through. Now, bear in mind, with some of them, you need to certify yourself. To be a clearing and forwarding agent, you need to get a custom house license, certificate that you need to work with. Now, with your trade, you could venture any of these disciplines without necessarily involving yourself in merchandising itself, because a lot of them would need your assistance to automate their systems and procedures that they are having. But if you want to become a merchant also, you are at liberty to go through.
Okay. Let's go on to the phone lines again and welcome another caller. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is Domavi. I'm calling from Tema.
Enoch.
Domavi.
Okay, please flow, my brother.
Okay. I didn't join the program early, so I couldn't get the topic that you are discussing. But I have a general question I want to ask. If I should contract a shipping forwarder to forward my goods to me from a different country, and then he gets a shipping line that will bring the goods, but from the initial stage, it was supposed to be a direct link from one country to another, straight route. And then along the way, the goods are discharged at a different port before before they are loaded again into a different ship to the right location where they were supposed to be discharged first. Is there any remedy that I could seek, or is it a breach of our contract from the beginning? That is what I want to know.
All right. Thank you very much, Dumevi from Techiman. Okay, Chief.
Yeah, we have contract of carriage when you get goods from outside and then you are bringing them down to Ghana. You need to spell out how you want it. There might be a direct call vessel. The freight would also be different. There might be a call where the goods would first of all be discharged at a hot pot. And that hot pot would distribute all the goods or containers to feeder vessels that will send them to various destinations, as we call it. So you realize that there are systems depending on the line. Some lines might have direct call, but these days they also do co-loading. If they have a vessel coming, because of economies of scale, because of that synergy, they try to get slots on vessels. Now, when they get a slot on a vessel, you have a vessel calling another port before coming. That vessel might have a different route.
Okay.
So when they drop the containers over there, then another vessel will pick and bring it up. But they will give you the time frame as to when the vessel will call Tema or wherever your destination is.
Right.
And these days, it's easy for you to even track and know where your cargo is. We have systems and software that assist. So it depends on the line that you are contracting that carriage business.
Okay. All right, so let's welcome our last caller in the person of Christopher. He's calling us from Accra. Good evening, Christopher.
Hello.
Good evening, Christopher.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Please flow.
Please, my question is very simple. I just wanted to know with a procurement background, which role can I play at the port?
Hello.
Hello.
Christopher.
Yeah, hello. Hello.
Yes, please flow. Go ahead.
So I'm saying, with a background of procurement,
Yes.
which role can I play at port? Which role?
Okay, background in procurement. All right. Okay, thank you very much indeed. I think he's our last caller. Maybe you want to attempt
Thanks
that.
for calling, Christopher. I would advise that you make a trip to the port and visit the procurement department or the materials department at the port levels, and then discuss with them how you can be of help to the authority. And as I indicated, we are all bringing our quotas to uplift the organization. So yes, make a trip to the organization and meet with the responsible departments. They would advise you on what to do if there are such opportunities available for you to also bring your support on board. Yeah.
Right. Like I said, we can't pick any more calls because we have barely 5 minutes to go. So let's come in studio once again and let me find out from you whether you have performed any, what do we call it, ISO management benchmark with other, institutions or ports, as we implement this.
Yes. We started benchmarking our ISO system with in 2015. When we visited the port of Las Palmas, a team of functional quality managers, and then the core ISO team visited Las Palmas port, stayed with them for 1 week to learn how they run their system. We also visited the Transnet ports, 2 of the Transnet ports, that's Durban and then Cape Town. We also went to Massa Maroc in Morocco, all in 2015. Now in 2018, we're fortunate to visit Abidjan, Port of Abidjan, where we...
All right, sorry, let me interrupt you again.
Okay.
My producer tells me we have 10 minutes, and so we can pick one more caller.
Okay.
And so we have Paul from Takrady. Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please, Flo.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. I want to ask Mr. Galvin something about the ISO in Takrady port. There is a road from New Takrady to the Gassam area entering the port. And the way the road is paved well, but at the box site, they have their station around the place. And we can see half of the road is full of bauxite waste. I want to know if the ISO in the port covered that area as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Paul from Takrady. Just briefly.
Yeah, that's a port environment, and it affects everybody who uses the port. And I think these are issues that we indicated that we are engaging most of our concessionaires and licensees who give service in the port. This is an area we've already picked, but with you coming in we rather going to intensify our move towards cleaning up that place and see how regularly bauxite would be mopping out that place for us.
All right. Madam, so you continue with the issue of benchmark.
So in 2018, we were fortunate to visit Port of Abidjan. We met with the ISO management team there. We were very, very lucky to have one of their top management to do a presentation for us. And in all, we realized that it's not too bad. We are really performing. Now, locally, we also went to Kenya Port, Mombasa. We wanted to go and then check. We went to check how we can also manage dust when it comes to discharging some cargo that comes with dust.
Right.
Locally, we visited Zeal Environmental Management. That is one very good company when it comes to managing waste.
Right.
It's located in Takrady, has so much equipment when it comes to waste management. So went to learn how to manage our side of the waste, like Mr. Gavin indicated earlier. We're having challenges with our waste segregation. So we needed to visit a company that is doing it right. And they're also ISO certified. So we went to learn one or two things there. We had intent to visit the mines because we have how to manage them when our aim. But the COVID slowed us down. We haven't given up. We have plans to visit so many local and international companies to see how they are managing their system so that we can also adopt same. Yes.
All right, so let's take a look at
Now, in Kenya, we set out a situation where we will be developing an MOU. The MOU is almost done and we are likely to sign it. That brings about serious collaboration because if you look at where they are and where we are also, we need to meet ourselves and see how we can pick good practices and then enrich our systems as well.
Right.
In Ghana, for instance, we've had very big state-owned enterprises contact us for assistance on how to implement and even sustain theirs. And it's refreshing when they come back to tell us that we are really performing. It's a tap on the back.
Absolutely.
And it gives us fuel to keep pushing and knowing that at least somebody somewhere or an institution somewhere is trying to emulate us when it comes to good standards. And we are always available.
We can't leave out our parliamentarians as well.
Right. Okay, so briefly, in 30 seconds, each of strict compliance and adherence to the standards.
Starting.
To start with,
just briefly.
Yeah, to start with, we have challenges with functional quality managers.
Have who are still doubtful. help us.
Working as GPHA. Okay. It is a continual improvement. Profitability, and we want a high performance. At this juncture, we would like to commend most of our management staff with the staff entirely. So the way we do our work. Our training processes have been successful with SGS and JIK. I will not forget Professor and HS.
Has a register of all these our clients. They have interactions, stakeholder engagements with them, and so these information are taken from them. We have a register where we've outlined our key interested parties.
Yeah.
I'm saying key because the pot is very large.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of interested parties. So we take the key ones that can impact positively or negatively in our value chain. We track them, we identify their needs, their expectations, and then we work towards it. Now, the requirement, we have
the Ghana House Authority and Mr. Gavin Amavi, General Manager Operations Port of Tema and Coordinator for ISO in Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. God willing, next week we'll bring you another edition of Iron Port. Good evening.
Insightful,